Hey, everybody, you've got the right therapist here, your favorite brown-eyed therapist. I am the right therapist, a division of the conservative take. So if you like what you hear and you want to subscribe, hit that little button below and join our family. We would love to have you. So I'm real excited today to talk with you about the Tinder Swindler. Have you seen it yet on Netflix? Believe it or not, it is the most watched documentary on Netflix, I guess to date, according to this article. I'll leave a link for it in the show notes. So after watching Tinder Swindler, and I'll try not to do too many spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's fairly predictable, and it is what it sounds like in the title. So Tinder is in the dating app, and Swindler, somebody who takes you for everything you're worth. These three girls have been basically catfished by an individual named Simon Leviev. And Simon promotes himself as a diamond dealer, a millionaire, billionaire, something like that, basically legacy wealth on Tinder, and is, he is an attractive looking guy. And he brings all of these very attractive looking women kind of into his drama, into his web. Now, I say his web because his web is basically a Ponzi scheme, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with Ponzi schemes, it's kind of a multi-level marketing way of robbing Peter to pay Paul and then paying Peter back with Paula's money. So there are multi-levels of deception going on all at the same time. So there are three women who are part of this documentary, and they document how this happened to them and describe what happened. And kind of like Bad Vegan, if you didn't watch Bad Vegan yet on Netflix, that's also a really good one. That leaves you, that show also leaves you with the question, how in the world does something like this happen? How do these really smart, talented, attractive women get drawn in and caught up in these types of schemes? And believe it or not, I'm excited to say that I have the answer, I think, to why this happened. So you heard me talk before about Jordan Peterson's personality test and the 5-factor personality test. So we've got agreeableness, which is compassion and politeness, conscientiousness, extroversion, neuroticism, and neuroticism is in you worry too much, not like you're just a raving lunatic, and openness to experience. So real quick, I just want to suggest that the reason that these girls got caught up with Simon, and their names, by the way, are Cecile, Pernilla, and Eileen. Cecile, Pernilla, and Eileen, although the show doesn't go in depth into their background, their personalities, and basically who they are, but you get the sense by hearing them speak and seeing them present that they are very articulate, educated, independent women who really are looking for love. They're looking for a relationship. They're just looking to partner with someone. They don't need a man. They don't come off as desperate, nor are they economically challenged such that having somebody of wealth or they're not gold diggers is basically what I'm saying. So they're not economically challenged. They just don't need anybody providing for them. They just want to have an emotional connection with a partner. So Simon, I think is attracted to their attractiveness. They are quite fetching ladies in terms of what they look like. Their pictures are gorgeous. They are dressed and well-heeled. So, but they end up getting caught up and built out of hundreds of thousands of dollars collectively. Through the lies and deception of Simon. And the reason why this happened, because really for most of us, it's not logical. It's not logical that these women should be drawn in to the degree that they are. And I would say that one of the things that is wrong with these women, if there's anything that's wrong with these women, it is that they are too agreeable. Of the 5-factor personalities, they have a high degree of agreeableness, and it's more than the average bear. It's probably if I had to guess about these ladies, into the upper 90s as far as the percentage of agreeableness that they are in terms of compared to the rest of the population. Now, what does that mean? That they agree with everything? In a way, yes. And basically what it means is that they have a high degree of compassion and they are very polite, meaning they don't like conflict. Okay? So the way that this plays out for anybody who is antisocial, anybody who is borderline personality disorder, or has narcissistic behavior and tendencies, the way that that plays out, according to Jordan Peterson, and with most 5-factor personality analysis, is that unfortunately, these folks, they have a higher than normal degree of sympathizing for others. They have a higher degree than normal of caring about others' feelings, almost more than they care for their own. They intensely feel the emotions of others. They're almost what we call highly sensitive people. They empathize way too much, actually. And they are compassionate, but they are also compliant. All right. Compliance means you follow directions. You do what you're told. So having too much of this personality trait is actually just catnip for folks who are manipulative, folks who are deceptive, and folks who, want to exploit you. In our current culture, being sympathizing and empathizing and really plugging into the experiences of others is now a social capital. It's actually very valuable to be that way. That, I'm going to virtue signal because I feel the pain of others, and I would hate for others to suffer because of something that I did. So I'm going to do everything I can to take on that burden, take on that suffering. These are highly agreeable people, but these are also easily led people. These are easily manipulated and exploited people. And that's what happened to these ladies, folks. And one way to know if you are actually one of these highly agreeable people, by the way, self-disclosure here, high five, I'm highly agreeable. I'm always, trying to feel the sense of others. I try to be very sympathizing and empathizing. Hello, I'm a therapist, so that kind of tracks accordingly. But agreeable people are also largely conflict avoidant. All right. And that would not be me, by the way, just saying. I don't shy away from conflict. I don't exactly enjoy it, but I don't exactly shy away from it either. So kind of an odd bird there. But enough about me. These agreeable ladies are definitely conflict avoidant. So when Simon sends these requests over for that he's being chased, he actually spins this whole yarn with these ladies about how he's in mortal danger. And these ladies believe it hook, line, and sinker. And they are scared for him. They are scared for his life because they've, developed an affection for this guy, and they are afraid that something bad will happen to him. So they're willing to go to the ends of the earth to help him. And that is indeed what they do, down to liquidating every penny they have, taking out credit cards and taking out signature loans in order to get him the money that he needs, literally, he says, in order to survive. And so it is not that these ladies are dumb. It is not that these ladies are, that there's necessarily a character flaw in them, other than that they are just too agreeable. So these folks who are too agreeable, after a while, they may be agreeable, but after a while, they're agreeable but not dumb. So what you're going to hear from these people is, man, I do so much for other folks. And what exactly am I getting in return? What am I getting out of this? Now, it might take a while. It might take a few years. It might take a few months of being in a lopsided or one-sided relationship. This can be at work. This can be at school. This can be at home. It might take a little while for this resentment to fully bubble up, but eventually it will. And at that point, that's when, like I say, everybody reaches their breaking point eventually. But it won't be before they've sacrificed so much. In the case of Cecile, Pernilla, and Eileen, they've sacrificed too much, right? And a couple of them even talked about, being anxious, having nervous breakdowns, feeling paralyzed, sick, traumatized. So this over-sympathizing and empathizing actually does manifest physically. And as a result of that, these ladies really had their lives altered by interacting with Simon. So what can you do if you're an overly agreeable person? If you don't know whether you are or not, I definitely encourage you to take Jordan Peterson's 5-factor analysis personality test. It will cost you $9.95, as in $9.95. It is worth every penny to see where you are in terms of agreeableness, because you can learn that about yourself, that, hey, maybe I am giving in too quickly. Maybe I am throwing in the towel in order to avoid conflict. Maybe I need to negotiate a little harder for my salary. So in the show notes, I also have some tips from Jordan Peterson that he talks about as far as an overly agreeable person. But in my opinion, in my clinical opinion, for what it's worth, poor Eileen, Cecile, and Pernilla, they were cursed with crossing paths with Simon, but it was their own agreeableness, meaning so compassionate and so polite, wanting to do the right thing, wanting to help, that actually got them into trouble. And cross that overly inflated personality trait with somebody who is exploitative and who is manipulative and who does not have your best interests at heart, you're going to get the Tinder Swindler. And that is what this whole story is all about. So when we look at it under that lens, we can say, oh man, there are ways to prevent this. And self-knowledge is key. So go take that personality test and see if that's you. And you'll know what to do if you're coming up against conflict, you're coming up against somebody who may not have your best interests at heart. So food for thought. Thanks so much for joining us today. And you've got the right therapist here. Again, would love to have you join the family here at Conservative Take. We've got a lot of awesome presenters and content specialists here that do a fabulous job of presenting social issues, politics, and entertainment, all from the right perspective, right? So thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time.